It's here. The end of the season. Yes, you may be drooping your heads a little, feeling a little bummed out that it's over. They were so good, so perfect. And now, they're gone. Little beads of flavor, drops of deliciousness. Oh, you thought I was talking about college basketball. My team's out, and now I'm so upset that I'm wailing about it on the show. No, I'm talking Starburst jelly beans. That's what has me bothered. I'm over Illinois losing. You know why? Because the next day I was banging out 30 plus plays with Odd Shopper. Making bank the day after your team embarrasses you on a national stage is always a win. Just like Odd Shopper. So check them out. If you register with our link via the show notes or goodjujubets.net, give us a shout. We're happy to help show you the ropes.
We can't lose. No, we can't lose.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Gambling gods, fickle bunch. Oh yeah, so easily
We
affected.
have a shooter and a good one coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9, place 9. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
They bet on absolutely anything. Don't make them prove it.
No, it was, I can't wait to get high and play basketball at 11 a.m. In the intramural area. Like, that's what it was. Like, no, it was.
You're tuned in to Gambling with Good JuJu.
Welcome in, everybody, to Gambling with Good JuJu, the show that grows at a rate slower than inflation. Uh-oh. On today's show, we're excited to be joined by boss man Eytan Shander. Eytan is a sports gambling analyst and contributor across a variety of platforms, having had a colorful past in Philly sports radio. He's also a really sharp bettor and fellow promoter of the Odd Shopper service. In addition to Eytan, we're cleaning up the keeper. Sports books be scheming, and Juice has all the news we need to know in order to keep ahead of those bums. Lastly, it's Final Four weekend, and MLB's first weekend is in the book, so let's talk about the highs and lows of these two major events. And we're actually going to start there, boys. You ready?
Let's go.
Sound good?
Yep.
Yes, please.
All right.
College basketball one more time.
Two more times.
Oh, shoot.
We have to talk about the national championship game next week.
Isn't it this weekend?
Yeah.
we're going to recap
we're not
it?
going to discuss the national championship game on the show after the national championship
It's
game.
Monday, right? Are we doing a dart throw?
When-
That's for a group bet?
No,
we
we've got...
have a national
Oh,
championship.
yeah, that's right.
Sir.
That's right.
We are invested.
Oh.
Let's get into it. First of all, let's get to the big sports gambling events of the week. College basketball Final Four week is here. I am sad my Illini are out, and I'm only slightly embarrassed with how it happened. And honestly, the postmortem has been a lot easier because of how resoundly we were defeated in that game.
Exactly.
It wasn't even that big of a deal after it. Our sadness was also a bit mitigated by a big win from Alabama over Clemson. Big show win for us, guys. Guaranteeing
Roll Tide.
we will have a team in the national championship game. For the sake of profitability, you should be able to guarantee yourself a nice return now, regardless of what happens, boys.
Oh, sweet.
However, for my own vanity, we still need the W.
Absolutely.
So just a quick recap on the financials of this gambit we ran. I'm going to use my official numbers from our official predictions. We
Very
took
official.
4 teams back in November, December. USC, Gonzaga, Alabama, and UConn. We added Kansas in January, Auburn, Creighton in February. We have a 7-team card with equal weight for every play that I played. Total of 7 units invested. Right now, we have UConn at 18-1 facing off against Alabama at 60-1 on one side of the bracket, and we're empty on the other side of the bracket. Worst case, we stare at an 18-1 as a money line favorite in the national championship game that can be hedged to guarantee you cover those 7 units and still turn a profit. If Alabama wins, then it gets interesting. You've got room to hedge, but right now they're a hypothetical plus 5.5 against Purdue and minus 4.5 against NC State. From a pure profit perspective, Alabama versus NC State is our golden ticket. Either UConn or Alabama is a massive success to the model, so I'll personally be happy. But some small part of me wants to see every matchup here except UConn versus NC State. Now, we don't need that one, right? That one's dumb, right?
I mean, it guarantees us a win.
What?
No, it doesn't. Stop saying words. It guarantees us a win if NC State. Or are you saying if we hedge?
No, if we have UConn, and they're going to be a 15.5-point favorite.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can hedge, but it's a boring matchup. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, personal opinion, if I'm not gambling on this game, you want UConn Purdue.
Yeah, for sure.
You want Klingon versus Edie.
Absolutely.
Those are two monsters. I mean, that's going to be billed as
Towers of Power.
King Kong versus Godzilla.
Mhm.
His name's Klingon, really?
Yeah.
Klingon
Hilarious.
versus Edie. So I got to think that. But then Alabama versus NC State is our most profitable part. There's some small part of me that wants to see Painter take a favorite into the national championship game and lose it to a team that I took at 60-1 to win the
Of course,
title,
You'd love that.
while spending the entire year propping up Matt Painter as the poster child for a coach who can't win at all. You know,
Yeah, totally.
the most laughable part of this is they still haven't played anyone yet.
Purdue.
Purdue beat a 16 seed, followed by a 9 seed or an 8 seed, followed by Gonzaga, who was overseeded as a 5, followed by Rick Barnes in Tennessee, the other most terrible NCAA tournament coach ever, followed now by an 11 seed NC State. So if they get to that championship game and they're playing Alabama, it's all on the line for me. Either Purdue wins and the whole thing crashes and burns in year 1, or Alabama wins and I can laugh it all the way to the bank with our biggest ticket we placed out of all of them.
So will you hedge that 60-1 on Purdue if it's that matchup?
Right.
Okay.
I will have to, first of all, the line, 5.5 dogs hypothetical they are right now
Yeah.
to them.
Probably a minus 150, maybe minus 160.
Right. Either way, our picks did great. Because if if UConn's in this national championship game, either way, you're looking at, if you were to spend that $70 on a money line ticket for them,
Yeah, absolutely.
your return's going to be like
Yeah.
$35.
Yeah.
Whereas we're holding on to that $70 ticket for $180 at 18-1
Yep.
on the 10. So you're still looking at a huge edge going into that, even if you go into it with the lighter odds team going up in a bad matchup for them.
Agreed.
So we're good there. A few other notes we want to clear up here real quick. It's been fun to kind of keep tabs on how well our picks did versus expectations relative to these other teams. And I think overall we did great. We only had one team underperform relative to expectations, and that was Auburn. So even though in that 5-4 game we lost Kansas to Gonzaga, Gonzaga was the favorite in that game. So even there, Kansas didn't underperform relative to expectations. There were a lot of teams that we said don't bet on. So let's go through those for example. We avoided Marquette, Arizona, North Carolina, Duke, Houston, even though we had the ticket from Corby. From our perspective, we avoided them. Iowa State, all teams that lost games to lower seeds they were favored against. So I feel pretty good
nice
about
work.
that.
Absolutely.
And now going into the Final Four, there is only one team left that was considered for the model in coaches who can't win at all, Purdue. And we have 2 teams left out of the only 7 teams that we took overall.
Right.
On our side of the bracket. North Carolina State, that's a wild card.
Ooh.
That is not, North Carolina State was not considered in any point in this model. And so therefore, I believe
Did not register.
if they do win the national championship, they will break every trend that's ever been established for a national champion.
Yeah.
Since we've never had a double-digit seed win at all. And we don't really have to worry about how well this model did overall.
Never even heard of them.
Auburn stunk. Bruce Pearl got to look at this season. Got to look and see how this season affects his overall pake heading in next year. He may be now a coach who can't win at all based on this. So that'll be some of the fun stuff we get to look into heading into next year.
They were a late ad, right? To your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were like a maybe, right?
Yeah. So that's where I stand heading into the weekend. I'd be perfectly fine with UConn Purdue as it appears to be trending. However, if Alabama NC State comes through, that Monday night, we're going to have some fun in the garage, boys.
I mean, do we just like exacta now?
I'm good.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm
You're ready.
invested. I think we're all invested.
I mean, the other side.
We might have to hedge
Yeah.
going in the national championship.
I might
Let's
just
see what
let it
happens.
ride.
If it's UConn, I'm not hedging. I don't have enough at stake on them. If it's Alabama, I'm hedging.
Okay.
That's where I stand.
All right. Good to know.
Anything from you guys on college basketball, or did you enjoy my monologue?
Loved it.
I enjoyed your monologue. Yeah, I got. I may have accidentally taken NC State at 75-1 at some point in the tournament.
Oh, neat.
Oh, good luck to you.
Well,
The team you said has no chance of winning
Good
the
JuJu.
national
bets.
championship.
well, I just threw a free bet on it
Yeah, sure. Why not?
at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm locked and loaded.
How far off of 75 to
So-
1 is NC State right now?
So worst case scenario, Purdue wins.
Like, NC State's not 10 to 1 right now.
No.
Are they 20 to 1?
Probably. I bet.
You think they're 20 to
I
1?
think they're 20, 25
Let's
to
look
1.
that up real quick here.
Let's find out.
DJ, right? That guy's name's DJ.
Yeah, plus 2,000.
20 to 1.
nailed that. How about
Well, let
us?
me get them all. Let me get them all.
How about that?
What's the other ones?
So UConn is minus 185.
Jeez.
That's beautiful. At 18 to 1. That's beautiful, Pete.
Okay. Yeah.
Purdue's plus 190.
2 to 1.
And Alabama's plus 1,300.
That's unbelievable. I bet
Fantastic.
them with a free bet before the tournament started. I think maybe at 33 to 1.
Yeah.
So they've made it
That's
to
what
the
I got,
final
man.
four, and their odds have only been cut in half.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Wait, what'd you say? 13 to 1?
13 to 1.
Okay, so they're a little more than that.
Yeah.
A little more than half. Okay. That's crazy. All right. Well, we're going to have fun. You know, you guys are coming over, right? We're going to
Keep
do
my
it up,
pencil up.
right?
Absolutely.
We might have to do it Saturday night. I don't know. If Christy's hearing this for the first time and I haven't mentioned it to you, my apologies.
She doesn't listen to the show anymore, right?
Every week she does.
Good.
I will say, though, that Monday night we're locked in for
We
the
are.
national championship
Perfect.
game, correct? And
Yeah.
I'm open for business on Saturday night, I think, as well,
Fantastic.
if we're interested.
I just love to watch more college basketball with you guys. So I'm in.
Moving on to RJ's second favorite topic. MLB is back,
Baseball.
guys, and I'm already surprised by the amount of belly aching coming out of Kurt.
Really, you're surprised? I
No,
think
I'm
the
not
under
at
hit.
all. Yeah, right. Kurt, we're 1 week in, and you're already threatening to do your own baseball origination. What is going on here?
It's the first week of baseball. Everything's up. Everything's down. It's a wild ride of variance. And I think I just get frustrated really easily with
I noticed.
with the bets.
Losing a bet.
It is
Right.
it's just crazy how the swings in baseball,
Oh,
and you can have a bad day so easily, and it just messes up your whole psyche.
Are you currently planning to do your own origination of baseball plays all season by yourself?
No, I'm not at that stage yet. I mean, I am juice reducing,
That's fine.
and I've been killing that, so that's good.
Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so basically, I'm using the Odd Shopper model and, of course, the Bad X model. But I'm taking, the minus 145s, minus 150s, minus 160s, and especially on Caesars. So Caesars is pretty on par with DK and MGM. They may be 5 cents off, but they have a specific market for both teams to score, and it is so much better in a parlay. To juice
same
reduce. Same game. No, not same game. Same game. Different. So you take the whatever prop you're playing, and then you go find the play that you like, right? The game that you like, and then you take both teams to score. And DK always has both teams to score at or minus 1,200 to minus 1,100, and Caesars comes in at minus 600
Oh wow, neat.
to minus 850. So it takes roughly 30 to 40 cents off
So you're trying to get these down to
your line.
even
Yeah,
money.
pretty
Yeah.
much even money.
Do you tag those separately so you know their performance versus other markets you're betting?
That'd be neat.
I can pull it up. So if I pull up my pitcher props, it will show all my pitcher props that have even the juice reducers. So I can see which one. But yeah, I can add another tag if you want to see how they perform.
I'm just curious, your performance using the juice reducer method versus just a straight model or
Right.
on-screener play. What's the ROI you're getting on that? And how big of an edge are we talking? Because if this is like you have all the tracking ability now.
Mm-hmm.
If this is a substantial edge and it's as simple as, well, yeah, go parlay it with both teams to score, and they're very mispriced on this one book, so target them there. If you have a real edge, let's figure it out.
So
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to be able to
Not tell anyone.
Right. I'm not going to be able to tell essentially the difference between the profit and the losses between the straight bet and the
Wait a
juice
second.
reducer.
Right.
I'm confident we can figure that out on your page.
You can check your ROI. Like
I'm
at this point,
positive we can figure that out.
you
yes.
bet 100,000 times.
Right.
You
But
probably know your average ROI.
sure, I can separate the juice reducing plays. What I'm saying is we can't compare them to the original line because I didn't bet the original line.
Sure.
No. But you're betting straights and you're betting parlays. Parlays are your juice reducers.
Sure.
Straights are your non-juice reducers.
Like if you go from a 5%
How are you
ROI,
doing on those overall straight plays
Gotcha.
that you have versus the parlay plays that are juice reducers?
Gotcha.
And what's the difference in that ROI
Yeah.
to know if we should then be tacking on juice reducing plays to our current strategy, which is the same as your straights,
Yeah.
Right.
and do that.
Yeah.
To everything.
Yep.
So I need that's
Purdue
what-
to win, plus both teams
it-
to score in some baseball game.
That's actually really good stuff. Okay. So let's get back to your thoughts then on the start of gambling season.
So you're not going to originate plays.
Not yet.
That's what it was.
That's
Yeah.
what it was.
That's
And
what
the
it
good
was.
news is there's 100,000 more games to bet on.
Yes.
And it's still winter.
Yes.
So we got plenty of time, bud.
So the big takeaway is you just got to be patient when betting baseball, even though it's extremely hard to do. And it's going to drive you crazy. The pitcher props are going to drive you nuts
Yes.
because you're going to get a great matchup and the guy's going to go either way under or he's going to blow his over and it's going to drive you crazy.
Yep. That's part of the fun.
Yep.
Enjoy the ride.
So just be careful because you don't want to chase losses, and especially after you have a bad day.
Are you up to start, RJ?
On baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like negligible.
Right. I think I'm down small.
Yeah.
I was just gonna go check, but I know it's somewhere around down small.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm missing though? I'm not betting on games. Are you using anything to try to get down action on actual games, or is this straight player props for both of you?
You guys said bet on the Giants, and I did, and that lost.
Right.
Oh, the first 5.
Yep.
So, Juice, I was able to get down a full unit on ESPN Bet. So, for the audience, I'm currently limited to $30 for an MLB player prop, but I was able to get down a full unit on 2 money lines last night on ESPN Bet for
Awesome.
$90 a
Awesome.
piece.
Awesome.
So, that's good news.
That's not surprising though.
No, it's not surprising. They want me to bet those.
Right.
I think that's what Juice was
Did
saying.
you win?
Yeah, I hit both of them.
Bang.
Sharp. What's the model?
Where did you get those plays and why?
And why does it work perfectly?
Undefeated.
They were originated.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. We have the greatest model.
Give me a
ever
play right now. Give me a
Yes.
play.
Yes. Pull one out.
All right. Nice work, bud.
Thanks.
Are you having fun with the start of baseball season at all, RJ?
Yeah.
Are you watching at all?
No.
But you're having fun gambling on
Sure. I love gambling.
it. Do you feel the quantity of baseball plays being added to your agenda has reduced your plays in other sports?
Reduce my plays? No.
Yeah.
I'm betting way more now.
I'm forgetting.
Forgetting to bet on the other sports.
I'm forgetting to go to like one tool and then I'll forget to
Yeah.
go back and check the other tool. And so now it's
Yes.
gotten to be like where I just have like a window of time where I do one and then I do the other and then I decide I'm done.
That's
So-
that. Yeah.
I freak out in the morning because I've got to hit. It's like,
I don't know what to click on first.
yes, because if I don't click on the Bat X,
Yeah.
the Sharps, all the DFS guys
blah, blah,
that subscribe to Cardi,
Yeah.
they butcher those lines, the baseball lines. I don't know if you've noticed, but those things
No.
move
Nope.
30 cents.
Never go back and look again.
Well, they move, and they move a lot. And
By
they-
when?
By 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I can tell you how I do it. I sort the markets by my ROI, and that's the order I do them in.
Perfect. But you do baseball first, right?
No.
Oh my God.
My ROI in
That's
baseball
not his
is
top
nothing.
ROI.
Oh man. You got to hit baseball first.
Oh, my, okay.
Says, and are you up so far on the baseball season, Kurt?
No.
Why do you have to do baseball first then?
Because the lines are gonna get, you're gonna lose value on the
I'm
line.
just going to juice reduce them.
The lines are gonna move on the other tools we use as well. Those things like move every 5 seconds.
Maybe.
This is a fun debate.
All right. I kind of feel like this was a boring start to the baseball season. Like last
Well,
year
yeah.
was awesome.
Really?
Remember how last year they introduced the pitch clock.
Oh.
And I started watching baseball games and I was blown away and I loved it. This year started, the first game ends. I had completely forgot. I looked over at you and I go, the Giants Padres game is over? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, right. Baseball's fast again. And I love it. So
Dude, some guy just threw a no-hitter last night.
What? Seriously? Already?
Yeah.
In the
You didn't
winter?
see that?
I
Yeah.
did see the
What team?
our name. Blanco.
Yeah, Blanco for the Astros. He no-hit the Blue Jays last night.
Jesus.
I know. Already. Took less than a week.
What
Well,
was
that's how
the
dialed I
game
am.
time on that game?
Oh my gosh. I
Hour
can't.
and a half.
Well, no, because the Astros put up like 11 runs. Like they had a bunch of guys. They had 2 guys hit 2 home runs last night.
I'm going to wear my Astros
That's
jersey
awesome.
tomorrow.
So people who went to that game got to see their team
Right.
score 11 runs and throw a no-hitter in like 2.5 hours probably.
Yeah.
Pack it in.
Baseball's back. That's all I got to say. I'm excited for baseball season.
Oh, good.
I don't know what we're going to do. I'm mostly focusing on pitcher Ks, but now Eytan has me thinking I need to bet 12 homer props a day.
That was
So everyone does need to stay tuned for the interview
Yeah.
with Eytan. We got a lot of great information
Spoiler
out
alert.
there. That's what we're doing.
good tease.
All right. Last but not least, before we get to giggling with Eytan, it's Trapper Keeper cleanup time with Juicy. This is where RJ collects a variety of news nuggets that Kurt and I don't pay attention to and brings them to us for reaction without insight. Juice, what do we have in the old Trapper Keeper today?
Well, first up is the ever important Midwest Casino update, and this one is a big one. I am happy to report the Isle of Capri in Bettendorf, Iowa. That's right. One of the top 10 favorite Midwest casinos of mine.
Okay.
Today announced table games will begin to open at 8 a.m. during the week. And that's right. They will be open for 24 hours a day on the weekend
Ooh, is this a big change? When did they close before?
when we were done shooting. Shout out Mrs. Juicy. Yeah, it was like 11 or 12.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the Isle of Capri is like a super old people place? What
Yes.
casino closes at 11 on a
No, the
weekend?
casino doesn't close. The table games close.
Yeah.
But who closes the table games at the hottest hour for the youngins to come in and sling it?
Well, thank God they're not doing that anymore.
Oh, that's a good piece of information.
Game
for-
changer.
For
I mean-
all of you located near the Quad Cities on the Illinois-Iowa border,
Shout out Dan Tomlin.
make sure you get over there and check them out.
Yeah. Do we need to send a clip of this to the Paradise? Like, what are you doing here?
Hey guys, you know,
Yeah. Let's stop shutting down at 6 in the morning and open it at 10. Let's just keep this puppy rolling 24 hours a day.
You know what? You think that's what you want, and then you're sitting
then you're there.
with your best friend and his wife at 2:15 in the morning, and you look at them and you go, "What next?" And they look back at you and they go, "You are a lunatic, Peter.
Nothing. Go-
we
go
are
home."
going home." And you realize that 6 a.m. doesn't actually mean you're gonna try to stay out until then for all people. It just means that for you.
So speaking of gambling, let me get us back on track here a little bit.
Gambling.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. It's all gambling. FanDuel in Louisiana is clearly about the kids. A sports bettor placed a $2 parlay that resulted in a $1,578.84 win.
Nice.
Unfortunately, the money did not hit his account
Why?
because FanDuel kept it for back child support.
Oh.
And kind of hilariously, when questioning where my money was, They sent him a letter that said, feel free to continue to wager your money away on our account. However, just know, if you hit any more 300 or greater to 1 parlays, you're not going to get the money.
That is awesome. Oh my God.
So did they proactively make this decision or were they forced to?
I don't, I mean,
That's a fascinating question.
Is this fake news?
I don't think so, but it was on the internet.
Is
You
it
know how that
legal?
goes.
Is it,
Good
that
question.
can't be legal.
Well, I know you garnish wages.
I'm pretty sure that whatever happened there is fantastic and legal. That FanDuel's not going to go in there and go, hey, this is funny. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this to this guy.
This guy's definitely a prick. Let's do it to him.
So you can deposit, no problem. You can wager on sides and totals, no problem. But if you hit a mega banger parlay, they're going to give the money to your back child support.
Which, you know what? Deserved it.
Totally.
Pay your back child support.
Yeah, bingo. Exactly.
That's the lesson here.
Or don't and just gamble and see what happens.
And they'll pay it for you.
Other FanDuel notes, they are sick of sharp bettors, finally. First
Yeah.
reported Metro past Mike, but a lot of people got their accounts totally closed down last week.
Yeah. So other people have talked about being limited or banned on FanDuel before this. I've seen names.
I've never seen anybody thrown out, like
I-
account closed.
What? Okay. It's just super limited.
Yeah,
This is the first time we're seeing accounts closed by them.
I think so. I think this is the first time they've said go away.
That's surprising.
And good luck asking for your money because your account's closed.
Well, they can't.
They're not gonna-
Yeah,
they're not gonna keep it.
they can't
But
do
yeah.
that. But,
But you got to like log in to talk to them, and you can't log in because they closed your account. So I'm sure they'll sort that out. But yeah, whew, times are changing. Also, Dinger Tuesday's back and worse than ever. Are you guys betting this promo still?
no.
I just did
Wow, good
tonight for
Good
the
for you.
first time while waiting to interview Eytan.
You know, I don't love ESPN Bet, but shout out to ESPN Bet for having a better promo than Dinger Tuesday that I got to participate in. And I picked the Suzuki guy that plays for the Cubs, and he hit a home run. So shout out me.
That is awesome. I
Yeah.
did see while sifting through Twitter that there are some people who still get, I imagine they're the fish, they're getting $25 a game in free bets. So they're getting the original Dinger Tuesday,
The OG offer.
the OG offer.
Yeah, I'm getting bet at least $25 on one person to hit a home run, or as many as you like, and get up to $25 in free bets.
For the whole
whole
slate. That's me too.
That's
and
me
that's
too.
Pete too.
Yeah.
That's the majority of us.
Malarkey, not doing it. Okay.
I did it just for the fun of it today so that I could pick off plays from Odd Shopper. I don't know because they hadn't started when we went on mic, but hopefully I'm a winner. 2. That's the recommendation. You bet 2 guys to get $25 in free bets off of $50 wagered, and then you hope long term
Hope you get one.
you get them. Well, long term over the season. you
I mean,
get
let's
enough.
be honest. We bet on stupider stuff, but
Agreed.
I kind of like that it's more limited now because I don't have to bet on 15 guys to hit a homer. I just lose my 2 a week and move on.
that was a lot of variance. Okay.
Miss 2 a week, get my free bet, and then once every 3 months hit one.
God, but the 15 was so profitable.
The free bets were fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right. Speaking of sportsbooks, sportsbook operators are determined to help you gamble responsibly.
All right, this is the real topic. What's
Yes.
going on here?
So the world's largest online operators came together and formed a dedicated group to responsible gaming practices in an absolutely unprecedented move. Power move. What they've done, Jolly St. Vic, is they have decided to share their customer information with each other so they can identify problem gamblers.
AKA identify us.
AKA identify gamblers.
Have they defined at all what they mean by that?
I think they said what I said in the press release. This is for the better of humanity, not their profits.
Right. But
Right.
really, it's about those of us using odd screens, making multiple plays.
I gotta believe.
That's what I think it is.
I gotta believe you are onto something with that thinking.
And that's why I said us,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
They're looking for the sharp betters.
I think you're right.
And that's concerning.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I still don't think I'm a sharp better.
Right.
I literally, I was thinking this the other day. if I just don't increase my unit size, and I keep betting into main lines like I want to, but I keep profiting at this rate, they ever catch me. I mean, I'd only make like 12 to 15 grand a year probably.
Yeah. Is that under the radar enough? Maybe.
Like for perpetuity.
We'll find out, right?
Like I might prefer that. Like give me 10 grand a year.
For the rest of your life. Right. Until it's over.
Never.
Right. Never.
I don't want it to be over. So I don't want to think about it that way. All right. I don't know what to make of it. I don't feel like we have enough information from them to understand what this really does mean or who it impacts. But if it is, I don't even know why you would tell anyone.
Well, yeah, for the
like,
good
why
press.
didn't they just get together and just good press?
Yeah.
What good press?
Oh, look at this. We're helping people.
Right. This is a response to 60 Minutes.
It depends
Yes.
on who in the organization has control of the data.
Yeah.
Which, as our friend Dylan on Twitter said when this information came out, if it's the responsible gaming people
Right.
who are getting this data and utilizing this data, that would have nothing to do with anything the traders could impact on. However,
Yes.
do you trust that that data that's now being shared is genuinely only going to be shared with the responsible gaming wing of your company?
Right.
Is highly unlikely.
And I know I'm like skeptical more than most people. Like I got to believe that the responsible gaming wing at FanDuel at best bakes a cake every day and comes in and has a slice, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you with my tinfoil hat, buddy. I've fully hopped on board with what you're on.
I'm an eternal optimist.
Yeah.
I don't view this as a tinfoil hat scenario. I view this as something we should all probably think is not good news. I don't know how bad a news this is, but obviously the book's getting together and going, hey, yeah, it's okay if we just give each other all the data. Right?
All our customer profiles.
That generally doesn't result in good things for people who are trying to take advantage of the books.
Like even if they only shared the losers, think of how predatory that could be.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was your news update from the Trapper.
Here's some more SGP bonuses.
Right. Here you go. Yeah, deposit bonus you'd like. Hey, welcome back to FanDuel.
Well, it's much more likely that your name's been shared than mine has, RJ.
Absolutely.
So I apologize for that, and I hope my name never gets shared.
Right.
But also, eventually, I'll probably get bored with this level of gambling and will increase until I reach yours. I'm still months behind you.
Yeah, you were calling us some pretty mean names a couple of weeks ago about our unit size, pal.
And I
Yeah, no kidding.
I keep spending my money is the problem.
That's a situation.
So
Stop spending my
you've
money.
gotta-
Well, now you want me to pull out all my money I make off of the national championship game so we can
Right.
go to Bet Bash.
Right. Oh, like it was totally just my idea.
Well, if UConn wins the national title game, that's a net loss on me.
Wow. Yikes.
But if Alabama wins, I'm paying for my flight. I'm paying. We're in good shape then.
See you at Bet Bash America.
All right, that's going to do it for us, folks. Stay tuned for our interview with Eytan Shander. Good juju to your bets, everyone. We'll talk again next week.
Bye.
We welcome into the show sports gambling commentator across the number of platforms, stakeholder at Stokastic, and our very own boss man, Eytan Shander. Eytan, I have to know, in the pantheon of your on-air life, where does joining Gambling with Good JuJu to clown around with us for a half-hour fall?
Pretty high, to be honest with you.
You don't have to
You guys would be surprised at the combination. And look, right on cue is this toy. Like, I'll do anything to get away from whatever's going on in my house for a half hour at least. So it's not like you're high up for anything more than just the timing of it, fellas. But right now, at the very moment, this is the highlight of my day. This is the biggest thing going on in my life right now because I'm not dealing with the near 3-year-old at 9:30 at night on a random Tuesday. So I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you guys, for sure.
Well, thank you so much. That's exactly the response I guess I was hoping for. So,
Timing is everything.
all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, before we get into your life as a sports gambler, I want to hear a little bit about the backstory of Eytan. And before we go through your on-air radio career, what in the world did you think you were going to do with a philosophy degree focused on existentialism?
So when I was a junior at Gettysburg College, it was the first semester, and they would not let me out of the registrar, like the beginning part of the year, until I declared a major. I went to Gettysburg as a history major. I transferred to as an English major. I then went to, no, then that's when it was, all right, you either need to declare a major right now, your first semester junior year, or we can't let you continue, move forward. So I chose philosophy. I figured, how hard could it be at that point? And at no point, fellas, was I thinking about my future, about like how qualified I'd be to work. I was just thinking like, how the hell can I get out of the registrar and go to the next event that wasn't class that day? Like that was it. That was the only thing that was going on. So I was not thinking about it.
You're telling me it wasn't a 20-year-old sitting around going, I think I'm going to be one of the great thinkers in this world.
I've unlocked it.
And unlocked the code to human existence.
No, it was, I can't wait to get high and play basketball at 11 a.m. In the intramural area. Like that's what it was. Like, no, it was get me the freak out of registrar at this point so I can continue my extracurricular activities at Gettysburg College. Love Gettysburg, don't get me wrong, but no, I was thinking of nothing like that.
Did you enjoy your philosophy classes?
Yeah, I did. There were some in which I was just completely outmatched because I was initially a fraud in the sense of like I wasn't there to learn. I was there just to bypass and get a degree. But once I started to get into it and once I really started to put some work into it, I was able to actually get a lot out of it. And I spanned across multiple eras and definitely hit on a bunch of people and thought processes that I wouldn't have understood without the help of a professor. And B, I think it does help you with rhetoric and just if you do want to draw, maybe it's a loose parallel, but if you do want to draw one thing, at least, it taught me an ability to talk and think thought through. And when you're on the radio talking to Neanderthals in South Philadelphia about the Eagles and you can just speak for 3 minutes straight, you sound a little smarter, even if you're wrong on if the Eagles will win or lose that week. So I did enjoy it. Absolutely. It was worth it. It was worth my while.
That's kind of exactly what I was thinking. I was like, a philosophy degree feels like something that I could just use as a human being.
Yeah.
As much as I could a career. So
I got to say, that's the most honest answer I've ever heard to why did you pick that degree?
Yeah. Yep. It's real life. Like I can't lie. I can't hide from that one. It's real life.
All right, let's get into sports. So for the audience's reference, you've been a sports radio host for around 20 years now in different capacities, moving now into the sports gambling side of things. But you were on Philly radio for a very long time there, correct?
Correct. From, I'd say, 04 through 2000, maybe like 20. Maybe 2019 with 2 years off and doing some national stuff. So I did Philly radio for a long time, multiple stations. Yeah, a lot of that.
So we know the characterization of Philly fans and their intensity, and there's both, on a national level, the positives and the negatives that get associated with Philly fans at different points. What was your take as a sports radio host in Philadelphia on the Philadelphia sports fan?
I think the biggest misnomer about Philadelphia radio specifically, TV and other mediums are a little different because they're not as directly interactive, is that the radio caller or even most of the radio listener represents the majority think. And that's just not the truth. And I think I've known that from working in radio in other markets and knowing how to read the metrics and the data, and that you're lucky to get 4% majority of the people that are calling represent, how many people are actually listening, 4% callers versus how many people are listening to the show. So I think that's the danger is getting caught up in it. And I saw it all the time. Somebody would say something ridiculously stupid as far as a phone call on the morning show. The midday show would walk in, they'd play a clip of it and say, is this how you feel? And kill 4 hours on the most outlandish representation of thought that you can find, which was probably like, bench Jalen Hurts after he missed a throw, or fire somebody, or just something ridiculous. But I think at the same time, from an entertainment standpoint, there is nothing better than that if it's used correctly, if it's used as not a crutch, like let's just bang through 50 callers and get ignorance after ignorance, because that's what the radio caller is, just sitting there and spewing, versus the passionate fan. And I think more of the middle part of it is when you go venture out. And look, that's the benefit and the beauty of my career, I think, doing radio, is that I was able to meet a ton of people, a lot of live local events that I was able to do in and around the Delaware Valley, South Jersey. So you start to realize the fan and the individual that you reference is much more diverse in thought, spread around in thought and approach, and willing to accept that it's not life or death with every single pitch or throw or shot or save, if you will. And I think that's also something that took the nuance of meeting people. And then, lastly, I'll say this, as far as, the fans are concerned, is it's not always life and death, but the level, the intensity of watch and pay attention is unlike anything you'll ever see. And I always say this, as far as like, you won't see a city that has more people wearing the clothing of their teams than Philadelphia. Just like some random 80-year-old woman walking down the street with a grocery cart wearing like a Chase Utley jersey. I mean, it's uncanny. And I've been around and worked in different areas and markets, but like that's the representation, I think, that best suits it.
So do you feel that working in a market like Philadelphia is easier or more challenging for someone in your field?
I think it's more challenging if you want to stand out. I think the best way to illustrate how difficult it is in Philadelphia is they are people who listen to the radio, people who are a magnet for the radio, that call and just want to listen on all day. They want to hear the hits. And the hits are the Philadelphia Eagles, what's wrong with the Sixers, why the Flyers are going to fail. And yeah, the Phillies got a lot of talent, but the hits aren't just bring up the Phillies or bring up the Flyers or things along those lines. It's usually something negative that would surround those teams. Eagles start winning games. It's just an Eagles city first and foremost. So good, bad news is always going to carry, but it becomes challenging. And to use an analogy, if you will, in a different type of format, you've got two radio stations playing music, classic rock, what have you. One station's playing the hits. Hey, guess what? That's what people want to listen to. They're driving around or they're on their phone, however they're consuming the radio station. Now, they want to hear the hits. You start playing deep cuts, some track that's, an add-on on some like just bootleg Jimi Hendrix album that 15 people have heard. You may sound cool leading up to the song, you may stand out, but a lot of people are like, who the hell is that? This is Jimmy. And they leave and they go to the hits. They go to the same old stuff. They go to the same old crap that you hear nonstop. So that's the challenge. Is it's easy if you just want to blend in. Anybody can do Philadelphia radio if you play the hits. But the challenge is standing out and actually making that stick.
Now, have you moved on to doing other radio shows outside of just the Philly market since then?
So on and off, I did stuff for Sports Map Radio. They actually I think they just dissolved. I was doing stuff for Sirius XM for a little bit and bounced around. I was in Columbus, Ohio. I was in Nashville for a couple of years. Now, over the last 4 years, I'd say, really about maybe a year and a half before my son was born, first son was born, I would maybe do some fill-in stuff for Sports Map, which is like a smaller national network. But yeah, my main focus has been digital and TV. That's been the big thing for me.
So then what led you down the path of the particular niche regarding sports gambling?
So when I was just getting my feet cemented, not wet, I would say like cemented at Fox 29 in Philly, where I still do a lot for them. I was looking at, I don't even want to use the phrase writing on the wall because that's the connotation of your time is up and there's just the mortality of it and you can't get away from it. But I think just the general sports conversation had run its course, right? I wanted to do more on TV. And I was one of maybe 5 or 6 people trying to compete for like a small time paid, hey, we'll give you a couple of shekels for popping on the morning show and talking sports. So I needed to stand out and I needed to do something that could separate myself. So I pitched a show and Fox Bet picked it up. Props and Locks is what it was called. And it was fun. I mean, it was just a total BS show. It was awesome. It was me doing the sports betting stuff. There was a sports analyst and there was a host, and we all got along. We all busted stones. The 3 of you guys know all about that and just how much fun that can make a program. So that's kind of where I just shifted. And it was great because nobody else did it. Nobody else thought of it. And it wasn't like I had this reinvention of the wheel. It was just, hey, sports betting is about to become full on legal here in PA. We should do something about it. The only negative, of course, is Fox Bet just went belly up. So we lost the show for a temporary portion of it. But yeah, that's what got me initially into sports betting before even Odd Shopper and Stokastic and everything there.
So for the audience's reference today, it feels like you've got your hand in a lot of different pots overall. What is your what's all the content you're putting out right now, Eytan?
So I should probably lead with the full-time job, right? Odd Shopper is the main spot for me. So the YouTube page is where you'll find some videos. I write for them as well, do multiple columns a week from golf to basketball. And I also will do some stuff on the Odd Shopper YouTube page, and a lot of my social, the Shander Bets, is basically an extension of the stuff I do on Odd Shopper. So that's the big thing where I am now. And then if you're in or around Philadelphia, I write a weekly, maybe bi-weekly, depending on the amount of stuff going on here, column for Philly Voice. And I do just a bunch of days down at Fox 29. It could be a tournament preview on their Fox local. It can be like tomorrow morning, I'm on Good Day talking about Joel Embiid and Bryce Harper hitting a couple of home runs. So that's where I'm really just, it's only 3 things, but it's just spread out.
Okay.
Oh, and QVC.
Yeah.
Every now and again, I'm on QVC.
You're on, wait, what are you on
Really?
QVC for?
Yeah. So this is, again, how life works, right? Philadelphia, and I was mentioning just about the level of passion, and passion can be defined like a million different ways, I think, negative, positive, but the level of attention that people pay to sports here in Philadelphia is so magnified and just so intense that the spillover is that people talking about sports have followings. People like, I've done the same job elsewhere, Nashville, Columbus, Ohio, nationally, what have you. People will come up, hey, I like the show and appreciate that, or I can't believe you said this, what have you. But in Philadelphia, it's radio, TV. People have become celebrity just because they talk about the sports because they're so popular. So it was a carryover where I, again, was trying to just branch out. And I thought, you know what, I could, let me try and see if I can find a way to get into acting and really just get into advertisement and start to do some local stuff here in Philadelphia and see if there's any way I can play off my name with some small client. I'll say, yeah, I'll pay you X amount to sponsor my product. So I hired an agent, and she actually used to be on QVC as a presenter and had some connections in there. She said, what the hell? She threw my demo out to one of the vendors, TOEPS, which is one of the longtime vendors. They do a ton of different things, holiday toys, things like that. And lo and behold, one of the main guys there is just like 8 hours a day listening to sports talk radio, and happened to listen to the channel that I was on for years, the Fanatic 97.5, knew me, knew my voice, knew everything there, and said, yeah, let's give it a shot. So I've been with them for about 2 years. I've changed a flag on a ladder. I've trimmed my nose hairs live on the air. I've slept in a hammock. I've had some major blunders as well as some major success. We just sold out of this one stack thing because you can put shoes inside. So yeah, man, like that's just, it's awesome. It's really cool. The headquarters is in Westchester, PA, which is about 45 minutes from where I live. So it's really cool to be able to go down there, and it's just a completely different environment.
Do you have fun with it like every day?
Yeah.
Like when you're down, is it fun? Just pure fun for you?
It's 8 minutes, right? And you're basically having a conversation with the host.
Right.
And you're not presenting, because I'm talking to 28 and 65-year-old women. That's essentially the main target. So, you can't be the same demeanor as I would be like tomorrow morning when I'm on TV yelling about the Sixers. Like there has to be some sort of change and pace in it. And a lot of it is just having a conversation with the host. And the beauty of it is they want that. Like they want to talk about, hey, my wife needs me to trim my nose hairs and I've got something here, things along those lines, and they play off it. And it's a blast. It truly is a blast.
That's great. For the audience's sake, Eytan, you work with Odd Shopper. We ourselves, if anyone's been listening to our commercials for the last 2 months, also work with Odd Shopper, utilize Odd Shopper. How did your relationship with Odd Shopper come into play for you?
So I was initially hired by Stokastic to host fantasy football shows. And that's what I did for the first year that I was there, which was host channels on the DFS, host shows on the DFS channel. And then also on what we had was a season-long fantasy football channel. And then Odd Shopper was created. So Ben Raza, who is one of our best, also is basically in charge of the YouTube channel. We just started growing it. We started doing stuff, and then we had 1,000 subs. We had 2,000 subs. And next thing you know, the thing just blew up. So that's how it began, which was I was brought in to do the DFS stuff. And then once Odd Shopper opened, it was kind of just repositioning me there, since I was already doing it here locally and I wanted to do as much sports betting stuff as I could. And to be honest with you, I think it was a lot easier for me to do betting than it was DFS. Not that I'm anti, I play DFS, I use our tools and win only because I use the tools all the time at Stokastic, but it was more of a general broad conversation that you can apply some wider things than just metrics and numbers and data and this. And it just was an easier transition for me.
So NBA player props, NHL shots on goal props. We're here to confirm they are very profitable markets using the Odd Shopper tool. We haven't dove into the baseball side of things until, Thursday of last week.
Okay.
First of all, are you betting baseball? And second of all, how are you leveraging the tool for that specific sport?
So I think, yes, absolutely, I'm betting baseball. And one thing that I really think the market-based approach and the betting model that you mentioned works with is, well, two, really, Ks and home runs. Now, the thing about home runs is that they're really difficult to hit. And you can go a couple of days without hitting a guy smashing one out. It's just the nature of betting stuff in the plus 300 to, 1,100 range. But as anybody who has access to this, and again, we strongly suggest you try it out. These guys will tell you exactly how to do that the week or so and see. You'll notice right away that FanDuel is just offering insanely better numbers for home runs than everyone else. It's not just Dinger Tuesday. It's every day. The numbers are just beating the true odds, the fair market value, if you will. And the reason is because they can, because there's enough volume coming in at that book, because home runs are hard enough as is to hit. It would be like, all right, you're going to get ripped off paying for gas on either side of the street, but one side is waving at you saying, see, we love you. We really care about you because we're 75 cents per gallon cheaper than the place across the street. Yeah, because the place across the street has jacked it up enormously. These guys have just jacked it up a little bit, but they're your friends. Now, the reality is that FanDuel, because of the volume and because of how hard it is to hit these home runs, can actually dip the number to where if they weren't getting this level of volume, fellas, it may not be nearly as profitable simply because they are going below the market price, but they know that because they're offering home run props on basically anybody who's alive playing in these games, people are just going to swarm to the book and bet and bet and bet. But if you are betting home runs, which are fun, and I like to take part in it by all means, the tool is fantastic because it will identify guys on FanDuel that have the better number. And it's just easier to know that you're not getting ripped off at a different book. And that's the big thing about home runs. As far as K props are concerned, what I love about this too is you'll find a lot of even money, plus 110, plus 115. That's really the range that I want to be in when I'm targeting 4 to 5 OS rating or higher with a plus EV behind it. Is ideally, I don't want to be laying anything. I don't want to be in the minus 110, minus 115, minus 120. Over time, I'm just going to lose less, win more, what have you. K props, I think the tool does a really good job of identifying range like that, where you can get it at even money up to like plus 110, 115. And it's really good, especially earlier in the year when you may see quicker hooks on pitchers, or you may just see guys not having the, I don't know, maybe the endurance or maybe just not having it enough, getting rocked and pulled earlier. It may not even be pitch count so much as it is they get roughed up.
I'm somebody who likes to bet into a wide variety of pitcher markets, walks allowed, earned runs, hits allowed, pitcher outs. I've noticed that they aren't on the Odd Shopper tool. I mean, they show the odds, but they don't show necessarily the EV, the other books odds.
Right.
Are they going to update that anytime soon to include some of the other different markets for baseball props?
Yeah, I think what we saw last year was after the first 4 to 5 weeks, more and more bets started to populate like those markets.
Okay.
Specifically other books. And I remember last year, like 6 weeks into the year, seeing hits allowed, outs for DraftKings pop up a ton. And it just becoming a beatable market over at DK that simply wasn't there at the start of the year. So it's a fantastic question, even better observation, like what the hell's going on here? There are a ton of pitching markets that are just not available from a read standpoint. Like, yeah, you can find the best number, but they're not giving you a read on the EV and whether or not it's actually beating a market. It's just, it happens to be a bad number and you can get it at one of 8 books. So I'm with you. I think it's necessary. And from what I know, just being on the other side, a lot of pressure is coming right away from adding stuff, adding more of, or less, I guess, of a threshold in the parlay builder and things along those lines, which is more markets that you can bet as we get deeper into the season. And I think you'll see that 2.5 to 3 weeks from now.
Awesome.
Since you've been using the tool as long as you have, are there any particular markets or sports or anything along those lines that you look at as your personal favorites as a result of your success using the tool in those areas?
The NBA for me has been fantastic. I think, look, player props in the NFL are just going to be difficult long term unless you just mass betting. And that's the beauty of Odd Shopper, which is you can put up, 10, 15, what have you, throughout the NFL. But player props in the NBA, I feel like that's the sharpest our tool is. And I've been looking at DraftKings, BetMGM specifically, and targeting rebounds, threes, and points in that order. So if I see a rebound prop, points prop, or like 3 prop in between at BetMGM or DK, you just sign me up. That's an auto bet right there. And that's really helped my ROI because that's available. Like we have that in our Discord where a lot of the data gets updated and we should be updating you guys. So I'm going to make sure that we do with the data because a lot of it is like, hey, over the last 30 days, X prop in Y market is smashing. You probably want to jump on that. So for the most part, what I've seen over the last year in the NBA and now this season, which is almost done, so nearly 2 full seasons, MGM, DK, player props have been rebounds, threes, and points. I think if you're getting an edge in college basketball, it's usually coming in like the first half total or first half money line, maybe as like a parlay piece. Those have been great. They're very few and far in between, very difficult to find. But I think those have been profitable for me too, is just keeping an eye on stuff like that. And again, it's very difficult to get an edge on just a side or a total. Same thing with like the NFL or college football. So team totals have really jumped out for me in college football when I've been able to see any little discrepancy like that pop up, especially if you're taking advantage of like a bad team going up against a juggernaut and you're getting a break on like an under, cupcake A or cupcake B, whoever it may be. So those would be the ones that stand out. And then last, I would add this. It's really difficult and probably pretty rare that you'll find an edge in a total in an NFL game. But if you do, and it's around a key number, and for me, it's usually 41 and 51, I'll take advantage of that wholeheartedly. Because if something's moving, and to be fair, same thing with a spread, it's just even less likely to happen with a spread. But I mean, the reality is like, you don't need an odd shopper tool to kick you in the ass to see that there's a dog getting 6.5 at 6 books and one book has them at 7. Like, okay, you're going to take the 7 there if you like the dog. But it's nice to see that stuff like that does pop up every now and again. So when you find these small edges off key numbers in the NFL, I take advantage too.
So can I get your take on this real quick? I'm a mass bettor. I bet way more plays than these guys do. Sometimes I'm up to 100 a day. And
Nice.
my main market is NBA player props.
Yep.
And what I do is I essentially spam pretty much almost every single plus EV player prop on the Odd Shopper tool. And I want to get your take on kind of my strategy because I've been trying to preach it to these guys, but they're a little more conservative than myself.
We don't have the kind of time you have.
So
Yeah, do you have an algorithm that like sifts through 100 and places these bets for you?
I cannot place that many
Do you
wagers
have
in a
kids?
day.
Like, how are you doing this?
So essentially, and it's not really necessarily Pete, it's more RJ I'm trying to talk to because he does have the time to do it. He will not bet more than one player prop. So essentially what I do, if the odd shopper tells me that LeBron James is under 7.5 assists, his under points and his under PRA are all 7% EV, I play them all. And I've had my success in doing that has been astronomical. Do you suggest sticking with one player prop per person, or do you see using the odd shopper tool to its full max to get as many player props as you can down, even if it's one player's multiple markets?
So you guys aren't going to like this because I'm going to have to split the baby here, but ultimately it doesn't matter. The only difference is how much you're going to weather variance.
Right.
That's really the only difference here. And there's no wrong way to use the tool. If you want to bet once a night, you're probably going to deal with more variance. And there's a chance that you may go 7 or 8 days without hitting a bet. If you're going to bet 100 bets a day, you're going to weather that variance. And you're going to have some days in which it's just going to look absolutely ridiculous, the return. And look, there are going to be some in which you go, 30 and 70, and it's just not going to feel good. But you've been able to put and stack a bunch of nuts away for the winter, if that makes sense. Like, that's the biggest difference. There's no real, now I think from a comfort standpoint, and I'm way more like you, where I'm probably at like, now that I've been able to turn in a pretty good march of profit on Odd Shopper, I've been able to bump up to about, 10 to 15 a night. It's nice. It's nice to have a buddy being like, hey, all right, how you doing here? How you doing here? How you doing here? As opposed to just like the text being, hey, how's that Emmanuel Quickly play going? Oh, well, it's cooked. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, that sucks. I get it. So you want camaraderie in it, but I also think from a strategy standpoint, I would lean to betting more than 1 or 2 a night. But that's just from a personal preference standpoint, and that's just because I want to be ahead of variance a little bit more so. But look, you're going to profit. If you go 30 days and you have one bet a day, it may just take a little bit longer to build a bankroll, to build profit. Or you may catch the right side of variance and get up high. It's just a matter of that. So that's the biggest difference in all of it.
To level set for you here real quick, Eytan, we are betting 20 to 30 wagers a day RJ and I. He's saying we're not betting enough at that level and that we need to be placing more in the 60 to 90 bets a day. You then come in and go, yeah, if you need, you could get up to the point where you're betting 10 to 15 a day. And we've all blown way past that point.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. No, like that's great. That's not a bad thing. And then I misunderstood because I thought it was 1, but maybe when you bet 100, 1 does feel like 20 and 20 feels like 1. So I might have misheard. So I apologize. But
All good.
yeah, look, I think you guys are both in a good position right now to deal with variance. And now it's just a matter of, somebody's going full metal. Other guys are going like, oh, I'm speeding. But that's ultimately you guys are both just moving in the right direction. And I think that's the biggest difference for sure. It's just dealing with the variance.
One other quick question here, like while we're talking shop. Why is it all unders?
It's a great question. Absolutely fantastic question. We get that a lot. So the reality is that the majority of people who bet overs.
Right.
And because overs are popular, and it's not just over 28.5 points, it's a shit ton of money went in at 30 plus, and alts and all the other things that factor in. They're all centered around overs. And the fact that, I think FanDuel may be one of the few that even offers like alt unders to where you can bet an under ladder. But everything is centered off overs. The public loves going over the total. The public loves betting favorites. It doesn't mean that they lose all the time. They win 50% of the time, but they bleed out a lot on juice. So the reason why you see unders pop up is because it's just a softer market, because fewer people are in there. And the majority of the shade on the books comes at the overs because they have to adjust. And it's not just sharp money that pours in and spreads on that. It's a ton of money. So we constantly see that where it's like overs. And people bet trends, which is not a terrible thing, right? Especially on its own. But how many times do you see on like Twitter, right? Somebody will say, this guy's done this in 8 of his last 10 and he's going to do it again. And that lends to overs too. And that's a big reason why you see overs pop up more so than anything else as far as what public, usually like popular, I should say, more than public, but popular bets are. And that's why the unders pop up. So it's a great question. We constantly see, but every now and again, I think last night, maybe it's tonight, and I forget, there was a Kawhi Leonard over 3.5 assist play at plus money. I was like, okay, it's nice to see some overs pop in there. But from player props, you will see overs for like team totals and other things like that. But for player props, first half totals stuff, player props, man, it's constantly unders because it's just a softer market and we see a lot more width pop up there. And books are slower to adjust too.
Yeah. I've grown to love it.
I will say that about once a month, I see an over.
Yeah. It's like
and every time I do, I have to triple check it before I bet it. And half the time I still accidentally bet the under. I'm so unacclimated to it. All right. We got to let you get going here. We can tell. Do you have any general
I've moved rooms like 6 or 7 times for anybody who's listening and not watching?
Eytan, have you spent this entire interview trying to hide from your kid?
Absolutely, 100%. And again, if you had the over under of like 1.5 seconds of me not fleeing from my near 3-year-old and you went under, you're off. Like it was every single second of this interview. And as much as I feel terrible that my attention wasn't 100% undivided to you guys, I do have to say it wasn't easy. And I thought I handled myself pretty well here with the child screaming and grabbing my leg and pushing some plastic bubble making lawnmower while we're doing this conversation, guys. It was a blast.
There's the round of applause.
Love it.
Hey, do you have any general advice for folks looking, like any best advice you give to just anyone who's using an odds screener? Any general advice you recommend?
I think the biggest thing is creating a system and sticking to it. And if that's betting 100 bets at an OS rating of 5 or higher, or keeping to your bankroll size, which even when you get through a nice stretch of positive variance, you don't go crazy or you don't chase if you're going through a rough stretch. I think just staying even keel and knowing that there's still a lot of joy and emotion, if you will, on the other side of watching games and watching things that you place a wager on, but also that if losing a wager, if losing a bet on a game breaks you, then you shouldn't have made that in the first place. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is I don't need to be at a high level and get these crazy payouts and do something that's out of my range. So I think that's the biggest thing I would say is just it's okay. Don't worry about somebody betting $500 a game. If your unit size is $5 based on your bankroll, then your unit size is $5. If you're hitting 65% of your bets and the person who's betting 500 hits 50, you're a better regardless. So what you're betting should never matter.
Last question before we let you go. We want to let you go out on a high note. We've been reading some of your articles that you've been writing for the Philly Voice. First of all, your prose is fantastic. You are a very colorful writer, and we genuinely were enjoying your articles. In particular, November 30th, you wrote an article, "The Eagles
He already knows.
are the new America's team." After you wrote that article, they lost 42-19 to the Niners. They then lost 13-33 to the Cowboys. They then lost 17-20 to the Seahawks. Is that the article you most regret writing?
It's not the article I think I most regret writing, but I will say this. To add a little context to this, I was betting against the Philadelphia Eagles from that Niners game on. So
that's great.
My heart might have been wrong when it came to the Philadelphia Eagles being America's team, but the brain, at least moving forward, recognized that they weren't beating the Niners. There was revenge in the air for that nonsense, and then the wheels started to fall off. I think that was absolutely one of the most ridiculous things I've written. It's probably not the worst. The worst thing that I ever wrote was picked up by Freezing Cold Takes about how the Golden State Warriors were buffoons, just absolute morons for hiring Steve Kerr, because there's just no freaking way that thing was going to work. There's nothing worse than that, my friends.
Oh boy.
That's good.
That is good.
Oh,
We'll have to find that one.
We're going to have to start saving some of our different takes just because of that. That's what makes it fun, though, right? That's the fun of the job, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, that's a badge of honor for sure.
I love it.
Eytan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. You can find more about Odds Shopper via our links, his links, any links you want. We aren't trying to hawk these tools with
you hear this, by the way?
Interview.
I do. This is like a scene at a Game of Thrones, the siege of the castle right now. He's smashing the lawnmower on the door. This is insane.
Thank you for joining us.
We do believe in Odds Shopper. Check out Eytan on Twitter at Shander Show or at Shander Bets. Good juju to your bets, everyone. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, sir.